Can a low carb or keto diet protect you from the flu? Well, we will dive into what we've found in the research, share some personal experiences, and share some extra tips on how you can keep your immune system strong and stick to your diet.
Okay, so let's jump into it, right? If you're worried about your immune system, which at this day and age is kind of a big topic, right? This is the video for you. So let's talk about our immune system a little bit. 80 to 85% of your immune system comes from your gut, right? Your digestive tract.
Which is something we only knew for the past couple of decades, which is interesting. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And the other part of that, a lot of it comes from your lungs. And coincidentally, those are the two kind of body systems that are exposed to the outside. You breathe in air from the outside into the lungs, and you eat food from the outside, and it comes into your digestive tract. So that's kind of your first, that's why those are your first, kind of defenses there. So an interesting study came out late in the fall of 2019, and it got, a fair bit of press in our community, and we've not yet reported on it, but the title of it is Ketogenic Diet Activates Protective T-Cell Responses Against Influenza Virus Infection. This is it. We'll put a link up there. It actually says gamma omega T-cell responses. It's got the funny little letters on there. I'm pretty sure that's right. But we're just going to call it T-cells. All right?
T-cells, indeed.
T-cells. So I highlighted a couple of things here that I thought that kind of hit me. So feeding mice a high-fat, low-carb, ketogenic diet conferred protection in the context of a lethal influenza infection. They took mice that were deficient in this specific T-cell, and they gave them a lethal infection of flu. I mean, it would normally kill them, right? And by having them on a ketogenic diet, they survived. So in this study, we showed the consumption of a low-carb, high-fat ketogenic diet protects mice from a lethal influenza virus infection and disease. Neither feeding mice a high-fat, high-carb diet nor providing chemical ketone body substrate, exogenous ketones, that bypasses hepatic ketogenesis protected against infection. The act of their liver function making ketones is what conferred this protection. So they couldn't just take exogenous ketone supplements and get the same level of protection.
Right. Yeah, so there's something going on in there, and specifically what they found with the mice was that the T cells and the T cell function was enhanced. And these T cells are immune cells. So this was obviously done on mice. We are obviously human, so there's quite a few differences there. But what can we extrapolate from that, right?
Right.
So, mice have T cells that aid their immune system. People have T cells that aid their immune system. So right there, we can extrapolate that. And T cells are extremely important, but one of the things that happens with T cells naturally as we age is that they decrease in their function. Right. So this is why flu is considered to be so dangerous for people over the age of 65 or so. Because there are, one of the reasons is because of the decrease in function of T cells. Another thing that decreases the function of T cells is an inflammatory diet.
Right. And you're already loading your immune system with problems when you have an inflammatory diet.
Yeah. And one of the biggest culprits in an inflammatory diet is sugar or processed foods. So those things with a low carb or a keto diet are naturally just eliminated from your diet. And I would say that has a lot to do with it, decreasing the inflammation in that way, which is not interfering with your immune system.
Right.
Another thing that a lot of people in the low carb and keto community practice in conjunction with their diet is intermittent fasting. And intermittent fasting has actually been shown as well to decrease inflammation. In fact, there was a large study on women from the National Health and Nutrition examination. What is it?
NHANES study.
Yeah, it's a large study. I can't get the acronym right in my head right now. But anyway, what this study found was that late night eating specifically is very detrimental and increases inflammation. What they did was they found that for every 10% increase in the proportion of calories in the evening after 5 p.m., they had a 3% increase in inflammation, I believe it was.
Right.
So the proportion was really much greater when they were eating late at night.
Yeah.
So
Stop that late night eating.
right. So low carb keto to get rid of the sugar, and intermittent fasting to decrease the inflammation. And I will say, since we have been practicing these things, we have just not been sick.
Right. Well, and I have to say that in my memory, I can't remember you even having a cold in my memory. Now, my memory not as what it used to be, but I mean, I can certainly say probably at least in the past 8 years, I don't remember you ever having a cold.
I don't remember either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think since we've lived here. And how long have we lived here?
Yeah, like 15 years. Now, on the other hand, I see a lot of people every week at the clinic get exposed to a lot of stuff. In almost every cold season, I would have a 10 days to 2 week period where I had a cold. Mm-hmm. I'd be miserable because I don't deal with illness.
No, you don't.
Very well. But I will say that in the 3 years that I've been doing keto, I have not had a single day of being sick, having a cold, anything like that.
It's been years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we were that's one of the reasons we decided to do this video, because we were just talking the other day about when's the last time that you've had a cold?
Yeah, we were. Well, and that's probably, I'm sure that's not just you and me. I know that we see that in our forum, in our coaching program. Yeah. Someone brought up the other day, and it was in the midst of some of the food shortages and things that we had going on, and said, is it okay to start this diet now? And it was immediate. Like, people started coming in and say, yeah, get rid of the sugar. I haven't been sick for X amount of years since I've been starting this. I haven't been. So it's not just you and me. Yeah. I mean, this is something that I think is very anecdotal for so many people. If we could get a study that's not mice, we would do even better.
Yeah, there's a lot of social proof.
Yeah. But also, I just want to end with one thing that has really been prominent over the past months or so, as we've been dealing with a lot of the coronavirus and flus and things of that sort, is the discussions on vitamin C. And there's a lot of foods that are high in vitamin C that are low carb. So and it is going to help improve your immune system as well, and it's also flushed out of your system, so you need to replenish every day. Right. So the low carb vegetables and some low carb fruits, specifically the kale, dark leafy greens are good with vitamin C. A lot of our cruciferous vegetables, which would be kale, but broccoli, Brussels sprouts. And low carb fruits, limes, lemons, those types of things are going to be high in vitamin C. Right.
And you, of course, know that where the term limey came from, right?
Limeys, right?
Yeah, that's what they used to call the English sailors. Because scurvy was such and everybody probably knows this, but scurvy was a really difficult thing on sailing ships, because they'd be out sailing for months and months and months, and they had people dying of scurvy, which is a lack of vitamin C. They didn't really know that at that point in time, but they figured out that if they had crates of limes on board and they had their sailors eating limes, they wouldn't have the scurvy. So because the sailors had all these limes, and they probably smelled like limes too, and maybe that's why they called them limeys.
All right, good. Yeah. Okay, so
fun
there
fact.
You go.
There's your fun fact.
There you go. All right, so now you know how to protect yourself against the flu. Eat a low-carb keto diet, practice intermittent fasting, and get your low-carb fruits and vegetables with vitamin C, like your limes. And you also know how to protect yourself against scurvy in case you happen to be out on the open seas for about 3 or 4 months.
Yes.
All right. Hey, thanks so much. Tip. All right, hopefully that has been helpful for you. Let us know in the comments, when's the last time you've been sick? I think we'll have some interesting responses there. And thanks so much for watching. We will see you in the next video. Please subscribe, and see you then.